The third step that we want to do, or I guess the third major part of making up a weapon, is basically creating a script, which is kind of simple code programming that we'll use to actually so Unreal understands that it's a weapon and how to load it, because at this point we just have the geometry and the animation, so we have to hook it up to something. So if you go into your C drive and go into Unreal and go drill down, there's a folder called development, and what this is this basically, there's Flash, which is for your interface using Scaleform, which is a program that's integrated or available for Mac or Unreal. And then the other thing there is there are these basically scripts, and when these get compiled, they then you can use them. They're actually the elements that make up the game, like defining the game, GUI, UT editor, all these different things that basically define how the game, a particular game, or the engine, or Unreal function. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a new one. So we will do a new folder, and the name of this folder, and once again we want to make sure that all this is kind of pretty precise and accurate, is we will call it UT weapon my teapot. And that's because this is the convention that they use to refer to the weapons, weapon classes. So inside that we want to create a folder called classes, and you always have to put this inside. Sometimes if you forget and you go to compile, it won't see anything, so it has to be inside the classes folder. Now, rather than doing code from scratch, which you can do when it's pretty complicated and beyond the scope of this demo, is to basically just copy, and we're going to modify existing code. So we're going to go into UT game, into classes, and we want to find one that's called UT ammo, which is right here for the shock rifle. So we're going to copy that and put that into our classes folder, right click paste, and then we're going to go into the UT game content, and this time we're going to get two other ones. There's UT attachment shock rifle, copy src, back in, paste, and then last but not least, we want to go back in the UT game content, and we want to get the UT weapon shock rifle. Copy up here. Okay, so those are the different scripts that we're going to use. Now the first thing to do before anything else is we want to take any instance of shock rifle and title, and we want to change it to my teapot. If you go to compile and you have multiple scripts with the same name, that can run into some issues with that. So we want to make sure that we fix that first. And teapot. Okay, so we have the titles, and now let's go through and open up and look at each one of these. So the first one we'll open up is UT weapon teapot. That's the most complicated one. There's a lot of information. You can see AI, different AI properties. First thing I want to do is because this is object oriented, there's a UT weapon shock rifle base, and this is an extension of it. So what we want to do is we actually want to change this and make sure that it has the same name as the title. If you don't do that, it won't compile. So that's just kind of the basic thing. Next thing we want to do is we want to kind of look through, and this is doing some targeting information, different definitions of kind of how it functions. Here's the muzzle flash, which is basically defining how to calculate when it fires, what happens when it fires. And what we care about are the default properties of this weapon. So first area we want to look at is weapon skeletal mesh, begin object name, first person mesh. So this is the one you see when you're first person in the game. And if you recall, we basically did WP shock rifle. We have a package that's called WP my teapot, and SKWP, which is skeletal mesh, my teapot. Now we only did one as opposed to two. The first player is always higher polygon count, those types of things. So we just want to be aware that that's what these other ones mean. And then the animation set, which is the actual animation, that we imported, the 5, would be my teapot, and this is the same thing where this would come in, and this would be my teapot. So let's see if there's anything else we need to add. The rotation, we want to reverse this and change yaw to -1638. And then we want to go find attachment class. So this is calling up another code. Now we just copied this as well. So what we want to do is we want to change this though to UT attachment underscore my teapot. The prior one basically looked for script in another folder, which we don't need because these are in the same folder. So UT, and then this is the pickup mesh, which is basically the one that you'll see on the weapon factory pickup if someone drops them on the floor, etc. So this is kind of your third person model, and we're just going to do the same thing again that we did before because we only have one weapon, and define that, and we're set up. And let's see if there's anything else. So we did that. And clear the offset. Now this is just the offset of the object. So let's go down. And this defines location, those types of things. And we want to change this to 45. And this is basically just repositioning the weapon so that you can see it when you're in first person. Just change that, keep this one at 10, and change this one to -20. And this I just discovered trial and error, but I'll show you some ways that you can do this in game as well. And now we're done with that one, so we just hit save and close that one out. And now let's move to attachment and do the same thing again of changing the title to my teapot. And what we need to do with this, which is easier, is we got to find the class to define the attachment. So the go back down, you can see that there's the weapon skeletal mesh, and what we need to do is we need to change this begin object, change this again, once again to teapot, and teapot. Now this is the actual weapon that the third person holds. So if you see a bot, this is what it's going to be holding. So we changed that. Now there's other information about explosion particles. We're not going to touch any of that at this point. We want to go find scale. Let's see. So we got let's see, my teapot, and then we want to do a couple things to actually alter the size of this object so it kind of works. So we're going to do scale equals 0.5 so it doesn't come in too big, and then we want to do another rotation equals yaw equals 32768. Now that sounds like that's a strange number, but what that is that's actually 180 degrees. Unreal works with these units. 1 degree is 182 units, 90 degrees is 16,384 units, and then 180 is 32,768 units. So that's where this number comes from. And yaw is basically just going to rotate it on the z-axis, the up and down axis. So we have that, and then the last thing we need is defining the weapon class that this is associated with, so it knows what to call up. And right now it's set to UT-Wep shock rifle, and we want to change that to my teapot. So that one's done. And then the last one is the ammo, which is the simplest script. Okay, my teapot, and we want to do, let's see, class, and we want to change the target weapon to UT-Wep underscore my teapot. And you can see there's all this other stuff that we can do. This is the pickups for the ammo, different properties, etc. So there's a lot of things that you can change, but we'll just leave those alone for the time being, so save that. Now we have everything saved. And at this point what we need to do is we need to tell Unreal to compile this the same way it does all these other elements or compile these other scripts. And we need to do that through the configuration. So we'll go into UDK game, and we'll go in configuration. And this actually is through the editor. So we want to go find the UDK editor INI. And there's a lot of stuff in there that basically defines pre-made in base settings for the editor. What we want to do is we want to tell it what mod package is to see, because technically this is a mod package even though it's just a single object. So the mod path we want to change first of all, because if not it'll go all over the place. So I'm going to do c:\UDK /UDK -2012 -07 /UDK game oh, what do I mean? Sorry about that. UDK development /src. So I'm basically telling it where the scripts are, and that's the folder where we just created script. Now the output is this I kind of consider old way of doing it. What we actually want to do is we want to save it in the base script folder. This is a special script scroller. In order for it to work, you have to copy it from the one folder to the other. And the address for this, well, we can write in there. Let me just copy it. It's probably easier to do it that way. So if you look, here's the scripts folder. If I click with the left mouse button, there's the address. Copy that because these are all the compiled scripts. They have .u instead of UC. And then we can come back here and just highlight this and basically just do Control V, and now we told it where to save it. And then the final item we want to do is we actually have to tell it, and it's mod packages plural as opposed to singular, UT weapon _ my teapot, which is the name of the script folder. So we want to close that out and save it. And now this is the moment of truth to see if everything's right, because we're going to compile it. And the way we compile it is you basically just launch the editor. And we'll see if this works. And what happens every time you launch the editor is it actually goes through and it sees what mod packages and it sees whether or not there's been any changes to any of them. And if so, then it's going to want to do a compile. So load, there we go. So it's going to load it up, checking the files, seeing what's there, checking out the references, making sure everything's properly set up. Okay, and we actually got a loading error, so I'm going to have to figure out what's going on with this. Something off. So let's try this again. Cannot file UT weapon. Okay, well, let's try this one more time then. There might be an issue with an older script that I had done. Make sure it's not there. Okay, there's nothing there. This is the joys of getting all this stuff to work. Okay, configuration. UDK editor. Let's go down and look at the mod packages. Okay, UT weapon, my teapot, mod package S. That's all missing. So file, save. It's always the basic things that get you every time. Yeah, so there we go. Scripts are outdated with like to build, yes, because now it actually sees it. So it goes back through all the different folder names, which are basically the different scripts that'll get compiled. And then we got some yellow, which is an error message. And what does it say? Development UT my teapot attachment WP teapot. I forgot my teapot and the name of that. And then this has an error too because it's my teapot. So what is that? That's UT weapon teapot classes attachment line 117. So let's go open up the script. And SRC, and go back to UT weapon classes. This is attachment line 117, which is down around here. And let's see, where do we have it? What teapot? Right here. My teapot, and do a save. And now if we go to launch Unreal again, now you gotta close it out. Just close out the console window. Go launch again. Yes, I'd like to change it. Let it build. We'll keep our fingers crossed that it works this time. Okay. So I recompiled it, and you can see there's no errors, so we're good to go. And if we go into, back up to UDK game, and go into script, now we will see our UT weapon, my teapot script. Now if you want to deploy this with other things, you can copy this or release it. You can just place it inside the if you had a folder, I could create a folder which is basically my weapon, my teapot. So I could create a folder called my teapot, and I can put this package in it. Well, let's just do it now. And then I will go in and put in, let's go grab the script as well. Make sure you only have one instance of things or everything's going to get confusing real quick. Custom teapot and hit paste, and then you can distribute that to people, and that's what they need in order to play it. So let's make sure that it might try to recompile it because I relocated it. So let's go back to the configuration file and open it up. And what we can do is we can disable that command or that line, and to comment something out, you just put in a semicolon, and that means that it won't do that. So now it's not seeing it anymore. It doesn't want to compile it. So now we can launch, and if everything works, it should find the script, it should find the package, and we should be good to go. And then we have some tweaking to do once it actually loads up. Okay, so let me turn off, just for starters, I'm going to turn off global elimination so we're not sitting here forever watching this render. And now what we want to do is view content browser, actor classes, and we want to go grab pickup, and we want to grab weapon pickup. And there's two different types of weapons, and we'll grab the pickup factory. And actually let me highlight it and place it in the scene. Add. Now if I hit F4 to bring up, there's a weapon pickup class, and we want to choose, now you see there's UT Wet My Teapot. So that's all we need to do to place it. Let's just do a build just to make sure everything's right. Okay. No noticeable errors. Now we'll hit play. Now the thing that's going to happen at this point is, okay, so we can see the teapot, and we can pick it up, and we have it. But at this point, because this isn't a deathmatch, we don't have the geometry and everything, so we're physically picking it up, but nothing else is happening. So what we want to do is we're going to go back, and we're going to do, we're basically going to save this as a deathmatch. Now if we go to play it, now we get it, and you'll see a couple things. The teapot's offset, but the other thing is the teapot has its texture before, and now you can see down at the bottom it's also sideways, so we need to work with that, because remember it's 90 degrees difference between the first and second person. And if I do tab behind view and I look at this, you can see there's a teapot, and you can see I'm holding it sideways. So we can go back in the script and change some of those values, remember the yaw values and also the offset, but we can actually also just go into the package. So remember there's usually two ways to do this, and open it up and find the mesh and open up the mesh. Just make sure, check my cheat sheet. Yep. And go into the animation set editor. And there's a couple things. We got bounds, and we got the origin, which is basically the location of the object. And we also have, oh, here it is, the origin. So what we're going to do is the origin right now is set to 0. And what we want to do is we want to change it to 15 on Y. And if we look, let me zoom in so we can see what I'm actually doing. So if I had to change this to 15 and hit enter, it basically shifts off, and that's going to help fix that weird spin that we've been seeing. And then the other thing we want to do is we also want to rotate it 90 degrees. So we want to do that on the yaw. And right now you can see it's -90, so if I hit that to 0, now it's going to rotate back. And all I need to do is save the package again. Okay, and now at this point we should be able to play it again. Level. No, sorry. Over. Properly. Now if I do tab invisible true. Now I can't be seen by a bot, and then I'll go add bots 1, and if we watch this bot, once the teapot reappears, it should get the teapot, and now if we look, so that's the basics of setting it up, and like I said, that's how you basically distribute it. If for some reason you wanted to get rid of it, just remember to unload the different items, and like I said, all you want to submit is the model and the script file.